What is up, guys? Thank you so much for joining me for episode 3 of the intuitive eating series. I'm super excited to continue this series with you guys and keep teaching you how to transition from sort of like restrictive eating or counting your macros or counting your calories into this new, beautiful, healthy space of intuitive eating. So today we're going to be talking about my biggest tips on how to even start transitioning into intuitive eating. So I know for me, I tracked my macros for a very long time, and I know that most of you that are watching this have been following a specific food protocol or tracking your macros for a while, and you're wanting to transition into the intuitive eating space. And so I just want to talk about that, give my biggest tips here, just to even begin that transition, because like I said in the past video, it is a process. It takes patience and it takes time, and it's relearning kind of how you eat and your hunger cues and everything like that. So today we're gonna start on the first tips on to start transitioning into intuitive eating. So number one, whenever you are starting to transition into intuitive eating, the biggest thing you're gonna have to relearn is your hunger cues. And like we talked in the last video, we kind of don't really know our hunger, our fullness in those levels anymore. We don't really know our cues for eating anymore, just because we have been depending so much on tracking, or, you know, these numbers kind of ruling how we eat, or, you know, specific food rules ruling how we eat. So we kind of have to relearn our hunger cues. So the number one thing whenever you are starting to transition into intuitive eating is to really pay attention whenever you're eating, or whenever you start to want to eat, or whenever you're reaching for the food, and whenever you're engaging in the eating behavior. You want to really practice awareness. And this is where the term mindful eating really comes from. It's just being very aware of your total body and how your mind is processing all of these things and these behaviors of eating. So I know whenever I started moving from tracking my macros into intuitive eating, I actually did food journaling. I used a food scale. You can just Google like a food scale of like 1 to 10 of your hunger and satiety. And I had that printed out. It was on my refrigerator, and I would track not what I ate, but how I was feeling and what my hunger level was. And whenever I was tracking my macros for 3 years, so I didn't really have very many hunger cues. I didn't really know what hunger felt like in my body. It was more so ruled by the numbers that I had left for the day. So, or, you know, trying to reach a certain number. So I would write down before I ate, you know, what my hunger level was, what was going through my head, what the thoughts were going on, what my emotion was, kind of where I was I with people, everything like that. And then after I was done eating, I would write down my satiety level on that food scale. So that is personally what was super, super, super helpful for me, was food journaling. Now, you know, mindful eating is all about being in tune with your body and really paying attention to what you are feeling and what your body is telling you. And this is a process. It's something that you really have to learn. It's a habit. It's a way of being. It's a way of thinking. So it's going to take time. And my biggest piece of advice is just to start really trying to pay attention and engage in the eating behavior more so than just shoveling food into your mouth. You really want to be mindful and really think about what's happening in your body, how full you are, how satiated you are, everything like that. Now, something I want to mention is that if you've been tracking your food for a while, if you've been counting your calories or tracking your macros, it's gonna be a hard habit to break. You're going to kind of feel guilty if you don't track your macros. I know this was the case for me. So start with just maybe having one untracked meal a day, or having, you know, one untracked day throughout the week, and kind of see how you do. It's gonna be a gradual behavior that you're gonna have to let go, and I wouldn't recommend just going cold turkey, because then you're gonna kind of freak out in your head. I know at least I did. So I would recommend slowly weaning off of tracking or counting. I would recommend just doing like 1 meal a day, and then you can slowly do 2 meals a day. But slowly, gradually wean off of it. It'll just help you a lot more mentally. Now, another tip is going to be to eat slowly. And this kind of a practice is very forgotten in our day and age. You know, we're so fast-paced and we have to do everything so quickly. And whenever you eat, you're just shoveling the food into your mouth. You're not really thinking about what you're doing. You're just trying to get it down because you have to move on to the next task. And I know that for me, I would always be the first person to be done with my dinner plate at the table. You know, I ate so fast. So I would highly recommend that whenever, along with the mindful eating and being just aware of kind of what's going on and how your body feels, you want to try to eat slower. And you would be pretty surprised at how fast you eat if you really pay attention. I know that I try to, you know, I'll take a bite and then set down my fork and just like let myself chew and let myself think and like process. And this is gonna actually help. It's not only gonna help your digestion, number one, but it's also just going to help you feel a lot more satisfied and be more in tune with your body. So slowing it down is going to be very helpful for being more mindful of what's going on in your body. So some tips for eating slower. I would recommend, if you really have a challenge with this, count the chews that you're doing. I know that sounds like really tedious, but it's a reminder to help you slow down. And I had to do this in the beginning, you know, I would kind of count how many times I chewed just to help me slow down, and now it's just a habit, it's just what I do. But that can kind of help you in the beginning. Another thing, you want to think about the pleasure that you're taking in the food. How good is this food? Take pleasure in the smell and the taste and the environment and everything. So that is really going to help you to slow down and to have more awareness around what you're taking in, how your body's feeling, the energy it's giving you, everything like that. Another tip for even just transitioning into intuitive eating is to try to remove as many distractions as possible whenever you're eating. I know myself, I have always watched TV or gotten on my phone whenever I eat, and I'm still so bad about getting on my phone when I'm eating and just mindlessly eating while I go through my phone. And this is a horrible practice because whenever you're doing that, you're not aware of what your body is feeling. You're not aware of how much you're eating. It's so easy to overeat and just not even know what you're putting into your body whenever you're so distracted. So try to, whenever you are making this transition into intuitive eating and getting in tune with your body and practicing mindful eating, try to remove as many distractions as possible. Try not to get on your phone, try not to watch the TV. You know, if you're with people, engage in the conversation and let that food just be kind of the cherry on top that you're enjoying. But the most important thing is that you're really engaging in the eating behavior and you're aware of what you're putting in your body. You're aware of what's on your plate and what you're putting into your mouth. It's all about that awareness and knowing how your body is feeling. Last but not least, this kind of ties in with the first point. Check in with yourself before and after you eat. I know that I had to do the food journaling, and that was super helpful for me because I didn't even understand what hunger and fullness felt like in my body. But I would highly recommend that, you know, whenever you start to feel hungry, really tune in and check in with yourself and journal if you need to. That's what I had to do because I was so out of tune with my body. But really check in with yourself and ask yourself, am I really hungry? And you might want to like go drink a glass of water and then check in with yourself a few minutes later. Or I know some people, they will check in with themselves and just be like, am I hungry? And they'll do some meditation or deep breathing and then kind of ask themselves like, okay, now am I hungry? Am I ready to eat? What do I want to eat? Everything like that. I would really recommend in the beginning just taking a minute and just asking yourself, am I truly hungry? What am I feeling in my body? What does my body need? And then go ahead and eat and ask yourself where you are on the hunger level, on the hunger scale, whatever. And then after you're done eating, really remove those distractions and really be in the moment with eating, be present, be mindful, see how your body is feeling. And then once you're done eating, again, check in with yourself. It's really, I know I have a hard time just, I'll get done eating really fast and then I'm like, oh, I'm so hungry, and I'll go get more food. But if you kind of sit down and check in with yourself and ask yourself where you are on that hunger scale and drink some water and then give yourself like 20 to 30 minutes and then ask yourself and check in with yourself, okay, where am I on that hunger and satiety level? And really it's all about being mindful, being aware of how your body feels and what's those thoughts going on through your head. It's really all a new learning process to go from tracking your macros or calories or having these food rules it's such a journey of relearning your body to go to intuitive eating. So those are my biggest tips for even just starting the transition. There's gonna be a lot more tips that we're gonna go through later in this series. I'm gonna be doing more videos about how to go through the process of, you know, this video is specifically just moving from the food rules and the tracking and the counting to even just thinking about intuitive eating. These are just the tools that you need to just start getting into the area of intuitive eating. In the next videos, we're going to be diving into more of the process and kind of what to expect whenever you start intuitive eating and how to navigate all of that and navigate all of those food rules in your head. But this was just the first tips that, in my opinion, are the most important to kind of just start that transition. So I hope that these tips were helpful. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave any questions that you have down below or anything that you want me to talk about with this series, specifically with the intuitive eating. And that'll be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll talk to you soon.